Okay, so today we're concentrating on the swing arm protector, carbon swing arm protector. Before I go on, in the mail, the post today, got the oil hoses for the oil cooler arrived, which is real good condition, off a Street Fire actually, so just loosely installed them. Gave them a quick wipe down and clean, just to get the old oil off them. But yeah, great condition. So they're nicely loosely installed. So all coming together slowly. The Street Fighter 1 inch longer. So those of you who don't know, V4 Street Fighters swing arms are 1 inch longer than Panigale. So those of you looking to get a quick fix swing arm extension, that's the easiest way to do it. It's just swap it out for a Street Fighter one, exactly the same apart from that. So this swing arm chain guard, sorry the little one is going nuts about something, probably a squirrel. 1 inch longer, so I'm going to use this as the primary one and use the Panigale one as the donor, just to kind of merge the two together and extend. So that arrived as well in the mail, so great condition on that. Don't think I'll have a chance to do that today. It's going to be all about this. Okay, so made the cut exactly where I wanted it to be, which is great, just behind the weld. You see there very clearly, this is the standard cover for a standard Panigale swing arm. You can see clearly the 3 inch extension, which is amazing. In the middle, done by Bonnie Fab, and fantastic work. He'll be also doing the custom World SuperBike specification probably 22, 23 litre fuel tank as well, but more to follow on that later on. So yeah, cut it, cuts exactly where I want it to be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mock up a protector, so like a bash guard out of a piece of aluminium for our British gang, and carbon fibre, and maybe some plastic as well, just to kind of pad it out and make it a little bit thicker. So got like 5mm thick there. So I'm going to fabricate kind of a triangular plate. I deliberately want it to kind of stand out a little bit, so if God forbid we do have an off, that really expensive custom made swing arm is protected. So I'm going to cut them next, kind of mock it up to see what it's going to look like. Then after that, once I'm happy with how it all looks, I'm going to protect everything, so wrap everything in the kind of stick-proof tape, ready for the carbon fibre aspect, cover the floor and everything, because I am going to be doing this in the house as the wife's away at the moment. Lay down a level layer of carbon fibre. I like to have all sorts of, I like to make my carbon like relatively diverse looking, so you can see here on the locker. So I've used different weaves, I've used chopped carbon, a bit of forged carbon. I kind of like that camo carbon effect. This is obviously immaculate, but I like it to be different from that perspective. It's going to kind of be my own little signature. You see some of the just chopped carbon as it zooms in there, focuses there. So I'm going to do something similar here for this. So layer of carbon down first as the base layer, then layer of carbon on the top over that. Then we're going to aim to put our pieces on top of that, and then another layer of carbon on the top of that. Ton of tape to really compress it against the swing arm. Obviously let it dry for 24 hours, and then we'll obviously be into sanding it down, get it all nice and flat again. And then probably another 1 or 2 layers of resin on top of that to give it the kind of uniform finish there. So that's the aim, certainly for stage 1 of today, to get that onto the bike. So, okay, more to follow. Thanks. Okay, pieces are cut. I've used some 5-minute epoxy to secure 2 metal, whatever you call them, plates. I found an old piece of aluminum, there to act as the actual physical armour for the carbon fibre. Cut these 3 pieces. I went against the triangle in the end because I don't know, it just didn't seem that cool. So I cut these 3 pieces that are the carbon. It's what, 3 mil thick carbon. So that will kind of go over the edge and overlap to give it its real structural integrity and give it a bit of thickness. So what I'm going to do now is cut some carbon fibre. I'm going to lay a piece there first off. I'm then going to mix up some 5-minute epoxy. I'm then going to position these over the top so they're in place and firm. I'll then layer some more carbon fibre with some resin. With the other strips that I'm going to cut, position one around the back, apply it to the bike, which has got greaseproof paper amongst other things on there to stop it seeping through, that anti-stick tape. The other parts that I've then cut on the bike, I'll then apply 2 layers over the top of everything. So 2 thick layers of carbon over the top of everything. And then compression tape, anti-stick compression tape, with gaff tape over the top, super tight, leave it for 24 hours, and that will give us a first layer. That's the plan. Let's see how it goes. And next up on the catwalk is Miss Maple. Miss Maple, strutting her stuff. Okay, guys, we have a arrival. I think we all know what this is. OZ box. I've already just popped the tape, so we'll just do a quick unboxing, have a look at these things. This is not a normal arrival. These are World SuperBike. They were, the last time these were seen would have been on World SuperBike on TV. So hell of a thing to own. It's going to be amazing for the build. Pretty much the best wheels that money can buy. I think they're actually lighter than the carbon wheels because these ones are a different specification. Should I say they're not available to the public, these particular ones. So the first thing that you're going to see is, there we go, 3-bolt design. So not the standard 5-bolt design, 3-bolt design, obviously to save weight for the World SuperBikes. So there we go, front wheel, real nice piece. Probably give that a little bit of a clean up. They're booked in with Harley Davidson actually to fit the tyres today. Don't have a Ducati dealership near me, unfortunately, or a decent superbike shop, unfortunately. So the next best thing, the next best people I can trust is Harley Davidson to fit the tyres and balance the wheels. Still has the original balancing on from World SuperBike. There we go, that's who it belonged to. So real nice, real happy with that. That is for sure. That is going to look amazing, and they are ridiculously light. You actually feel maybe a little bit like the normal OZ wheels. So there we go, front wheel. Right, see back. Yes. Look at that bad boy. Wow, that feels even lighter. Okay, back wheel. Again, there we go. Super impressive stuff. Can't wait to get these on. So, that down gently there. Okay, so there we go. Wheels have arrived. We are progressing. So tyres on next, and then got the a mock-up axle actually found online. A little kind of manual that someone had put together for FGR forks, basically saying that if you use a Gixxer axle, standard Gixxer axle, and a Kawasaki nut, it kind of works out for these. They actually, it's a great idea, so I picked them up super cheap. They're actually in with the engineers. The reason being is that these are just under 30 millimeter, okay? And the Gixxer axle is 32 millimeters, so you just need to take the machine a little bit off on a lathe to get them to fit, and then I'll be able to mock up. The other thing as well is that Ducatis are wider than normal superbikes, and if I go for the actual World SuperBike triple clamps, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to do now, I think they're even wider than a standard Ducati, so there will be a bit more modification required. I have got the titanium rod, so I will aim to machine the titanium rod in the pretty much very similar design for that front end, and that will be a super nice axle for the front end of that. So that's I'll at least have the Gixxer axle back next week, to at least fit it up, and realistically I will be getting the carbon one machined later on. So back in then, carbon, so sanded down. Sorry, I didn't show you the sanding down process. Sanded down real well, got a lot of the waves out of this piece of carbon. I think I did share that to you guys, what it looked like before for the Swingarm cover. Applied some more carbon last night, just letting that dry. Obviously it looks a bit of a mess at the moment, but obviously that's all going to get sanded down. It'll look real nice. That's exactly kind of what I want. When that gets sanded down, it's just going to look like one piece, and I'm going to apply another coat of resin. That should be it. I've got some, that's the back end, needs a bit more of a sand. I've got some 2K satin lacquer to try out, because this piece needs to be satin once it's done, so that will coat the finish after that. So, but really happy with how that carbon's turned out. Those are the carbon actual pieces, and then obviously the carbon fiber. We've probably got about 4 layers of carbon fiber in various guises around here, but these new pieces just been put onto kind of, I had a little hole go through on the sanding unfortunately there, so that's been put on both sides just to seal that, and I deliberately didn't compress them down as much here, purely so it gives a bit more of a layer to sand, and kind of a buffer gap, so we can bridge the gap between the kind of the piece of armor that this is, because there was a bit of a step down gap on there, so those little bits there will bridge that gap. So it doesn't look like much now, but trust me, that is going to look amazing when it's done. Cool, that's probably it for now. Check back in with you guys once the tyres are fitted and we've probably got this mocked up even more so. Great progress, really chuffed with these things. Amazing opportunity to own such a thing, and it's gonna totally work with the theme of the rest of the bike, especially when more World SuperBike parts arrive. Okay, commandeered the wife's kitchen, and swing arm cover sanded down real nice, turned out magnificently. So the effect that I like is multiple carbon. So there's forged carbon in there, there's 3mm thick carbon plates. They're the actual bash guard. That's got a piece of aluminium or aluminum around the back there. So that is the actual structural integrity of the swing arm guard. All sorts kind of mixed in there to kind of give it that effect. So it'll literally look like a piece of artwork by the time it's finished, and the next coat of resin is on, and then the lacquer on top of that. But yeah, it doesn't look it now, but it's real nice and smooth, pretty much exactly where I want it to be. The resin that I use is the Venom stuff. I just get that off eBay. I think this is an American-based resin company. Really good. I've used quite a few resins. Obviously, I'm no expert with the carbon fiber stuff, but this stuff just it automatically kind of gets rid of all its bubbles. It comes out real shiny. I've only ever had it do funny things once, so it's been really consistent. So I really recommend them for kind of beginners carbon fiber. So mix this up. I'll do 20 grams with 10 of the hardener. Mix that up. put a good, nice thick coat on it, let that dry for 24 hours. And then again, one more final sanding just to kind of get it all nice and consistent in terms of its finish. That's the point where I'll go down through the grade. So I'll probably start with probably a 240 or something like that, 260, whatever it is, and then go down through the grades all the way down to a 2000 grit. So it should give it its nice kind of satin finish. That might be it at that point. That may be all it needs to kind of look the same as the stock satin finish, or I might then go for a 2K coat of lacquer on the top of that potentially. This is UV proof, so it doesn't actually need the 2K over the top, but that might just give it another nice kind of base and really finish it off. Or the controversial thing that I might do is, because there are going to be a couple of gloss carbon components on the bike, not many, most of it's going to be satin, what I might do is actually gloss this with gloss 2K lacquer, and then blend it into the satin factory stuff. So I might do that. Again, you guys are probably thinking that's going to look terrible, but done it plenty times before, and it can look really, really nice. And that will kind of show the modified aspects, show the stock aspects there and there, and then the 3-inch swing arm modified aspects in the center there maybe. So we'll see how that turns out. But first things first, let's get that nice coat of another coat of resin on the top, and then we'll take from there. Okay, resin on. Leave that for 24 hours. Now you can kind of see what I was talking about with all the different grades of carbon going on, the way that the carbon edges were sanded on the carbon plates. They were sanded down at an angle before they went in, and then obviously they've been like molded perfectly to the shape of it. All some of the forged carbon that I used in there, so super strong and just multi-layer, which is kind of what I like. It's almost like carbon fiber camouflage with certain aspects used in certain areas for its strength, and to layer it up where required, because obviously these are just like rectangular plates that have been put in. They generally fit to the shape of the swing arm, and obviously for their structure and integrity, but now it's like perfectly molded, so it's like one beautifully molded piece in there. Like you wouldn't be able to feel any of that, but really love the look of all of that. It looks chaotic, but obviously the bike is black, and you're never going to see it unless you go up really close and see those kind of finer attentions to detail. Put a load of forged carbon there, or chopped carbon, so that'll look real nice. Even all the patches, just love that kind of stuff, that really rough and ready race look to it. So exactly what I wanted to try and achieve with it. Can't wait to see it when it's fully dry, and kind of work out what I'm going to do from there in terms of like what finish I'm going to go for. If I'm going to go for gloss, or if I'm going to go for satin, or if I'm going to go for gloss and satin. But regardless, really happy with how it's kind of turned out. Apart from the only thing I don't like is just how that, when it was getting compressed, how that it then kind of shifted this piece here, so it's an ever slight angle, so you can see that through the resin, but you certainly can't feel that. The whole thing's completely smooth, so that is well and truly within the resin and the carbon. You can see it, but you certainly can't feel it with any of that. And just to give you an idea of what I mean, you kind of see how the armored piece raises and then goes all the way down again there, throughout all of it. So, but yeah, it's turned out beautiful. I just love all the sculpturing of it. Some people wouldn't like it, I appreciate, but I love it. You can't just have plain, straightforward carbon everywhere. And this bike, I want to have all different types of carbon. I want the kind of bigger weave, the smaller weaves, so a bit of forged carbon in there, some of my chaotic camo carbon, as I'm calling it. I want to see all different types of carbon. Generally speaking, it's going to be satin and matte, but there will be one or two smaller gloss components, potentially this one, similar to the seat locker, which is currently gloss, which might be going if I end up with the racing subframe. But a lot more to follow on how that's going to turn out later on. So yeah, looking good so far. Okay guys, quick update. Still in the missus's living room, which is great. She's at work at the moment, so and I'm still on a long weekend, so that's fantastic. So motor course type frame mount in red does stand out. I do think I like it. If not, it'll be getting stripped down to being machined silver, but I do think I like it, so we'll see how that goes. Nice, really nice part. I think it's actually heavy in the stock part, but well worth it because it just looks mega cool as well. So today I fitted the shock sensor. So real tight fitment in here. The normal way it runs on this particular shock is that it will run on the inside, which normally means you've got to get this machined, which was kind of my second option. What I found is by running it on the other side, it then finds that hole there. It's just taped on for now because I've ordered the standoff spacer bolts and stuff like that for it, so it can fit in real nice. This side, however, there's enough, either side, left and right, there's enough clearance. I just chose this side because you can actually see it and get to it, as opposed to the other side is going to be where the exhaust is going to go. And then I fabricated this little steel bracket that I bought from Lowe's. It was just a simple L-shaped bracket. Mounted the holes, drilled the holes, and just rounded off the edges, bent it 90 degrees to fit that. Now the theory being on this one is that obviously it sits outside the linkage, and it shouldn't interfere with the linkage. Obviously it will lose if it does, but it shouldn't interfere with the linkage as the shock flexes. It's perfectly in line with the shock, just needs the actual standoffs, brackets and stuff, and I've ordered some M4 titanium nuts and bolts and washers and stuff like that to get it stood off perfectly and mounted perfectly. So really happy with that turned out. And as usual, my usual kind of work, I just brushed it with a bit of Scotch-Brite, so it's got that kind of race look to it, similar to the other brackets. And as I said, when I get the 2K lacquer out, I'll spray that and the upper brackets for the mud guard later on. But yeah, well happy how that turned out, so that's pretty cool with that. Currently working on the chain guard for the swing arm. So what I did, I bought a Street Fighter swing arm, which is 1 inch longer, as those of you probably know, not that really matters on this occasion. Then I cut up the standard Panigale one to lengthen it, measured it all off, and that is the perfect length for it to fit nicely. So I'm gonna bond this together somehow, probably use some like metal plates to support the guard itself, the plastic bits underneath, and then use some epoxy or whatever to glue it and hold it together, and that should be plenty strong enough. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for that. So that's real good. Another little job ticked off with the back end coming together. And finally today, what I'm going to be working on, here's the finished product with the, well, it's not finished, should I say. Here's the dried dried resin for the swing arm protector, looking absolutely fantastic. It almost feels like a complete sin to like sand that all down and flat it back and stuff, because it almost, like, you could put it out of the bike and it'd be good to go, but obviously when you get up close there are obviously a few little imperfections, as well, loads of imperfections when you really get up close. So it does need flattening back, and I'm gonna like polish it to the satin finish and just see how that looks at that point, and then work a plan as to what I'm going to do. I've got the 2K satin lacquer on the way, if I'm gonna just lacquer the whole thing in satin, or if I'm gonna just lacquer it in gloss, or do a combination of both. It'll probably most likely be lacquered in satin just to go with the theme of it, but it looks absolutely amazing. Love how that's turned out with all the, you can make out some of the forged carbon in there and stuff. As I call it, this is my Chaos camo carbon that I like to make, which is my little brand, so to speak. So, yep, that's us for now. I'll check back in once that's all done, and that's hopefully mounted on the bike, and then we should be good. Thanks, guys.